So here it is. This is the stoop where my neighbor, my ex-neighbor, used to antagonize me. Yeah. Now that I'm here, it doesn't seem that interesting, does it? But this is it. Used to always be sitting here, smoking a cigarette, and just every time I passed with anything, if I was carrying something, if I bought something, he'd ask me, "So, what you got there?" And and if I said what it was, he would pinpoint the flaw in either the thing or me getting it. And oh god, it just over time, it just fucking got to me. That's why I had to make that video. Because yeah, it was the classic microaggression thing. That thing that a lot of people like to pretend isn't a thing. What? It's a microaggression. How could it be a big deal? Well, it's a big deal because it fucking builds up over time, you know. It's not the microaggression, it's the fucking infinite. By the way, speaking of that, last night we watched The Problem with Apu, which is a documentary made by a comedian. I forget his last name, Harry. And it was very good. I mean, it makes such a devastating point that all I could do is, Simpsons has always been one of my favorite shows, but you have to go, yeah, Apu's pretty bad. And really, I just never, it's not something I ever thought about. In fact, when I first heard that this documentary was being made, it's like my first reaction is like, oh fuck. Do I have to reevaluate The Simpsons too? Do I have to? But it's like, I mean, what's great, he is a Simpsons fan. So he's tackling it from that perspective. That's what makes it heartbreaking. That's what makes it frustrating. I mean, you should see it. You should see the documentary and take in its points, rather than me just repeating them. But it was good. It's very short, because I think it was meant to be a film, and it ended up airing on TV, and it's only like 49 minutes. We had to pay for it. But it was good. I still love The Simpsons. But Apu is, it looks like it's gonna make me uncomfortable now. Still getting weird stares. No, that was an appropriate thing to bring up regarding microaggressions, and of course it's the issue of representation. It's something that comes up a lot. With my wife and I was about to go into the movie Coco, which, but man, I don't know. That's her thing. She doesn't want to be in these videos, so if she did, she could make her case about that film, which I haven't seen. We haven't seen it yet. We're debating whether we want to. But yeah, it feels very powerful in this position, on this stoop. I can understand why it appealed to my neighbor. God, there was stuff I never went into in that video too. He was into chemtrails. That's how I learned what a fucking chemtrail was, because he'd be sitting here, and like, 'cause I remember like one time when I was like passing by, he was looking up at the sky, and he just looked real concern on his face, and you know, he got out his camera, like I don't know, he was acting like we were about to get bombed, and I didn't know what the fuck was going on. And like when I first posted this my video on Facebook, and like there was a few people sort of coming to his defense, and I said, yeah, but I don't know, he fucking thinks that we're the government's spraying us with chemicals, and I said, oh well, maybe he has a point, and they were posting me to these YouTube videos. Of course, the YouTube videos, they always just it's just clips that don't confirm anything. It's just I don't know. Now I've met it like. And also, of course, fucking Bernard, the real Bernard, believed in chemtrails. Not just believe, like if he talked about it, he just talked about it like, well, yes, I mean, they're doing it. They've said they're doing it, so it's not even a question. But, okay. So, yeah, I believed in chemtrails, my goodness. And as I've said elsewhere, he got into the local news for accidentally shooting himself in an altercation. So I didn't know the guy was armed the whole time that I lived here, and if I had known that, I probably wouldn't have made that video. Because I am a coward. Yeah, once the person you're vlogging about is armed, it's like, maybe I'll just back off. But of course, other people in the neighborhood here, they knew exactly who I was talking about, because they all had similar encounters with the man. But I remember it took me a long time, because even after he moved away, it took me a long time to realize, wait a minute, there's a vacancy open. I can fucking sit here now. And that's when I started using it. It's a nice place to sit. Especially, you know, you get a cup of coffee and just sit here. Yeah. So what else is going on? It's been a nice, mellow couple days. Whew. I gotta scratch my nose, and both my hands are in use. Alright. Putting down the coffee. Going in for the nose scratch. Mission accomplished. This has got to be the most boring video I've ever made. One of you said that I'm much mellower in Maine. That's probably true. And yet, I don't know. See, I was here for too long, because like whenever I describe it to other people, they don't understand why. It's like, well, that sounds great. Why would you want to leave that? It's like, because I wasn't getting anything done here. It was too nice. I was too relaxed, too complacent. Whereas as soon as I was in New York, yeah, I don't know, I started doing this when I was in New York. And I made my first Bernard video in 6 years, and I want to make more. You know, I wasn't expecting any. I don't know. Anytime I try to make plans on YouTube, they always lead to completely different things. It's like I'll wind up creating. Like when I started making YouTube videos, it's because I was trying to draw again. Every time I think to myself, I'd like to draw again. I'd like to make cartoons, and it always leads to something else completely. Morning. It's a great place to see dogs. A lot of dogs walking by. But anyway, so yeah, so the first time it led to me making YouTube videos and then making the Church of Blow, which this is not something I ever could have seen coming. But then it kind of dovetailed back because what Bernard was essentially the story, a story that I wanted to do as a movie that had sort of become my obsession in the years after I graduated film school. So it kind of like it came around to that, and that's why I need to finish it. Suddenly realized I never fucking finished it. And I should do that at least, even though I've always wanted to tell that story in a different form, and I still want to. Like, I want to do an official, like, complete, proper film version. But I also want to shoot the versions that were written, because Ishmael put so much work into it. So I want to do that too. And I think there might be a way. Good morning. Might be a way to do both, because I don't know, I've been having all kinds of crazy ideas about that, because on one hand, just to complete the scripts, I'm just going to be doing it on this channel, just shooting in my apartment, playing all the roles. But there are episodes of Bernard Smith that are basically self-contained films, things like The Doppelganger, stuff like that. So I could produce those as short films and post them on Weeping Prophet. Because, I mean, the whole thing is that they have to be episodes where people can just sort of like watch them, people who aren't following the series as a whole can just kind of dip in, watch it, enjoy it on its own, and they don't have to watch the rest. So there are episodes like that, and those might go on Weeping Prophet, and those I might actually produce as full out things. Because again, thinking about how I'm gonna, I want to use the YouTube studio and the just resources at my disposal, and that might be a way to do it. Because I'll also, shit, should I say this? Should I say this, or should I keep this as a surprise? I don't know. My wife thought I should keep it as a surprise. But because I've been saying for a long time that I did not have the finale, and I didn't until just a few days ago when I was talking about the Freud spin-off. I was saying, I was calling out to Ishmael, saying, Ishmael, if you have the scripts, let me know. And he looked, and he found them, and he also found the Bernard finale. So turns out it does exist. It might be an early draft, but it still exists. That's better than nothing, because it would have been terrible to get that far if I'd made everything, if I'd made the penultimate episode. Even the penultimate episode's really good. But if I didn't have the finale, that would have been a bummer. But we do have the finale. And the finale, I haven't completely reread it. We've just looked it over. But the finale itself was based on a film idea that I had, a different one. And I think even that, like if I made it, I could make it as a short film, but it would still be part of the series, and it would be the finale, but it would be like it could exist both as a short film and as part of the Bernard series. But of course I will only do it when I get to that point. But I was so happy that it does exist. It's a relief. So that means, we have them all. Everything is accounted for. But only people who've made it this far in the video will know that. So it's still let's be honest, it's still kind of a secret. I've told you, but, statistically, only a small number of you will know by the end. And it's gonna take a long time to upload this because my internet is much slower here. Oh God, what am I thinking? Making a video this long? Even the other ones, they're much shorter, but they're gonna take a long time. Oh well, I've made my bed. I should probably get inside. It's a little nippy out.